Hey everybody, Orange Fan here. Welcome back to my channel for another World of Warships Wednesday. There's a quick view of the teams there and the ships they're driving, and a little view off the back deck of my Avengers on my U.S.S. Ranger. And like I just said, today is my U.S.S. Ranger, and this will end up being my current highest record, or personal best rather, of most damage caused in a single battle. There's a look at the teams again. As the clock counts down to starting the battle here. There we go. Battle has begun. You can see the course that I set for myself just to keep my Ranger moving in case of the enemy carrier spotting me or finding me. I'm able to have some forward momentum going so I can make a maneuver to steer away from usually torpedoes. There's not really much you can do against dive bombers and a carrier. You're pretty much going to get hit no matter what. But just in case a destroyer sneaks through to our back line, or the enemy carrier planes find me with their torpedoes, I like having speed built up. I usually try to keep my ship moving back and forth in the back if I'm going to sit in the back. Otherwise, I try to move forward up towards, kind of stay behind the fleet a little bit so that I've got some help closer than halfway across the map. And then, like I said, if a torpedo plane comes in or a destroyer gets a torpedo launch on me, I can have a little bit of momentum to try and make a sharp turn into the torpedoes and hopefully avoid them. So, for starters here, I get all three of my... Oh, I'm using the strike wing, obviously. So I'm using the 3 bombers here. I'm going to send everybody down the west wall here to try and go back and hunt for their carrier off the initial run here is my first plan. That's usually my plan with the Ranger. Giving away a little trade secret there in case you're ever up against me and you see me and my Ranger. I probably will go looking for the carrier first most times. It all depends. It depends on what other targets of opportunity present themselves along the way. So I wait for my bombers to get all grouped up so that they don't get spotted piecemeal. And then that way, if they do get spotted, they've got the opportunity to all dive in and make their attack before enemy ships can get their AAA up and going as my planes come in waves. And I like to have the torpedo planes come in a little behind them just in case I do encounter the enemy planes coming in the opposite direction. I can get my torpedo planes a little bit faster away from their fighters and not lose my only torpedo squadron. And yes, I've got spares, but I don't want to lose the only torpedo squadron I've got out until I have to replace them. So there's their carrier. He's up in the middle of other ships, and it's going to take forever to get to him, so I decide to bring my guys back and go after this Congo here. Because the Congo's AAA is alright, but it's not overwhelming, so it's a pretty good chance to get good damage on a Congo. So, like I said, target of opportunity along the way. I switch up targets and send my guys in on the Congo here. Indy's got a little bit of AAA as well, but I'm not so worried. So my torpedo planes, I should have adjusted them again, but I was more worried about getting my bombers in on them. I was kind of thinking I was going to do more damage with my bombers here. And I didn't really do a good job manually aiming my bombers. And as you can see there, I only got 5 hits out of all 18 planes. That's not a very good ratio. And I actually hit him with 2 torpedoes, but one of them was too close. He turned into it just enough to have it not arm before it hit him. But I did cause flooding, did cause fires, definitely got him to burn his repair. So there is that. He definitely, you'll see in a minute, he's recovering health and uses his damage control party, so I at least messed up his day a little bit there, messed up his plan. You'll also see in the chat over there, this is right after the announcement of the Japanese destroyer branch being split into 2 different destroyer trees. So if you're watching this at a great point along in the future. I actually filmed this, recorded this on Labor Day, and I'm narrating it, narrating a week later on 12 September. So just letting our guys over on the west know that I set that Congo on fire and flooded him out and made him burn his repair and his damage control party so they can hopefully set him on fire and focus HE on him. Especially since he's heading straight at them. HE would be the way to go there. So, there's also a 3-pack of battleships coming up on the west side there that I notice here. And that's a little bit of a problem. But now I know there's a big gap in their, I can see where their aircraft are coming from for their carrier, and there's rather a gap over here in the middle of their line, and I can get my planes through and go after their carrier this time. We don't have a lot of force in the west, only our 3 ships against what will be 5, but for now it's 3 on 2, with a Congo who's only got about half his health left, and a destroyer, so I gamble a little bit and kind of leave my 2 battleships and my cruiser out in the west alone. There I marked the battleships there. And try to send my planes in after their carrier to make a surgical strike on him. And hope that my guys over there in the west can kind of hold off. Now there they knocked out the Congo. I'm kind of hoping our guys can hold off in the west while I can get my planes back and then send them aircraft reinforcements over in the west, because we've got a slightly better presence in the east. In the meantime, while I've got my airstrike en route, those 3 battleships in the west do concern me slightly, so I'm going to switch my Ranger over to the east side of the map and just kind of station him out there. And now, something that I tend to worry about when I have my aircraft returning home from a strike is you can use the aircraft, kind of like when people say tracers go both directions, and if you're shooting tracers at night, the enemy that you're shooting at can see where you are because they can see where the tracers are coming from. Very similarly here, I can tell where his carrier is based on where his bombers are heading back to. Even before he popped up because my guys could see him, I knew where he was. So I'm able to set up a pretty darn good manual strike here on... This is one of my better manual efforts, until my torpedo planes come in. Spoiler alert. My bombers do a great job here, even though 3 of them missed just off the side there on a stationary target. 2 fires started for the first group, then the second group comes in, and they get 4 hits in 2 fires. Much better effort out of those guys. And then Squadron 4 will come in and make the same attack from behind as well, with a manual drop. And then, for whatever reason, I had a real big problem in this battle, way overestimating the speed of the enemy. And he just barely started moving. If I had sent my original attack, and I probably would have done better than the torpedo attack I did use, which was way too far ahead. Just way too far ahead. I do get a hit and start a flood, but it just... very poorly executed. That should have been a one-shot kill there. Well, with the torpedo planes, should have finished him. I should have gotten at least 4 torpedo hits on him, and I got 1 out of 5. Poorly executed torpedo strike there. And in chat, I'm not really angry about it, but I did want to get the kill because I did the work on it. So I kind of grumble at my destroyer a little bit. But it was all... I wasn't really mad at him. It was more just, come on, man. He's flooding out. You can see his health going down. Which was okay. Like I say here coming up in chat, I was more concerned that I got the damage done for the ARP ships rather than got the kill. Though I did want to get the kill on the enemy carrier. And he did apologize because he thought he was going to fix the flooding. And it really wasn't a big deal. And unfortunately, my guys out in the west were not able to hold on the whole time for my strike to get back, although they did do quite a bit of damage. And they basically held, they just held until they were destroyed and did slow down the enemy advance out in the west. But I should have been able to get a little more... I should have sent one of my squadrons over there to help at least give the other ships a chance to catch on fire or something. Groovulus, if there's any chance you ever accidentally watch this video, I apologize, man. And there I said in chat that really what I wanted here was the damage. I was trying to do damage for the ARP Ashigara in this battle, which was damage with anything tier 6 or up. So I was still working on that during this video. I finished both the Ashigara and the Hiei, and those should be my next 2 videos out for the next 2 weeks. So if you like the ARP ships, check out for the next 2 Wednesdays. If you don't like the ARP ships, well then check out the next 2 Wednesdays anyways, and maybe I'll change your mind. Nice torpedoes there from Beetlejuice 28 from around the island. Pretty good work there. Now, I know there's a destroyer here, and I'm going to have my bombers just hang out over the top of him. I don't have any fighters to use for spotting, but I will sacrifice the use of a squadron of bombers in order to spot my spot destroyers for my friendly ships when they get close. So what I do here, I send my bombers in to drop their bombs on this New York and set them on fire. And again, overestimate the speed and totally blow it. But then I'll send the empty planes back to be spotters over the top of the destroyer in the smoke. Like I said, I don't know what I was doing. I just way overestimated the speed on ships. It's just a poor effort on my part, really. Nothing else. I do get some really good strikes, but I just missed a few that I just should not have missed. That wasn't too bad. 3 isn't too bad of a strike. And that wasn't too bad. Those misses were right around the side of him. Now watch this right here. Watch how much damage I do and watch who gets the kill. This is actually kind of funny.
Group 2 approaching target. Waypoint reached. Group 2 returning.
I did an awful lot of damage right at the same time as our Congo got hits on him and sunk him, which is fine because, like I said earlier, I really was more interested in the damage and I'd rather see the ship on the bottom than sailing in and giving us a problem with a capture point. Ultimately, all that matters is that the enemy gets sunk. It doesn't really matter if I get it or not. Though it would have been nice to get that "you got a kill" sound from all those torpedoes. That was the torpedo drop I should have had on their carrier. And I don't know exactly what happened with the shadows there. I had my bombers overhead and they spotted the torpedoes as soon as they came out. I don't know if he just didn't see them or he just didn't respond quickly enough, but he took some torpedo hits that he probably didn't need to take there. So it's a 4-on-3. We've got both of their destroyers visible here, and I'm just going to have my bombers orbit back and forth and just try to keep them lit up and spotted so that our 2 battleships that are along with me can see where their 2 destroyers are, because that's bad news for battleships. Especially when it's 2 destroyers. And now it's 3-on-3. A little bit more even. Our 2 battleships are in a good mutual support spot, and their 2 destroyers are in a pretty good mutual support spot too, but at least I've got them spotted and they know it.
Our victory is in sight.
We have turned the tide in the tickets quite handily here. We were down by quite a bit earlier, and it's cranked up quite a bit with the losses we've inflicted on them. So our battleships are falling back a little bit to sea away from their destroyers, but it's not a bad thing. They're staying out of the range of destroyer torpedo attacks and buying me time to get my planes in there and attack, and it's working out pretty well. Even if they end up taking the B point away from us, the ticket bleed in this game is nowhere near as severe as it is in War Thunder, so not such an issue. It's a lot harder to change the turn the tide of a battle by merely capping points in this game. Now Nagato, I'm a little more worried about the AAA, so I don't send my guys on end-around attacks to get in on the Nagato. I just have them come in from the side with a manual drop. In the in the hope of losing less planes to AAA, which you can see I do lose quite a few of them here. So these drops end up being better than I thought they were going to on him. Especially for sideways drops. And my torpedo drop is much better in this case as well.
Waypoint reached.
And there's the second kill of the battle. And look at this. If only that Hatsuhiro had been having to make some kind of a maneuver, I might have actually gotten a 2-for-1 torpedo strike there. I thought that was pretty funny when it happened. So I get my three squadron into a zigzag pattern there to keep the two destroyers lit up for my battleships there, keep them under observation, and throw my ship into full reverse to shut that stupid, annoying collision alarm off. So I did think it was kind of funny that neither of the destroyer captains turned their AAA on, which at this point, they were spotted anyway, so having AAA turned off is not going to help them any. Might as well turn it on and try to shoot my bombers down since they're spotting you anyways. But they never did, which works for me. So I'm trying to go after the Mayhan here because not only is he a closer threat, even though the Hatsuharo's got much longer range torpedoes, the Hatsuhiro is farther away, so... Even though the Mayhan has shorter range torpedoes, he's much closer to my battleships, so I'm going to go after him initially here. My bombers just barely miss him here, and he gets into his smoke, and I'm just barely able to watch where he stops and then manually target right where he stopped. And luckily for me, he doesn't keep moving. And I score my third kill of the game. And we're only 996 tickets into the game, then we get to 999 before I can do anything about the Hatsuhiro. But it worked out. I was actually pretty proud of that manual drop, just for paying attention to where he was and dropping it in manual and hoping he hadn't moved. And that gives me a final score of 114,779 damage, which is the most I've ever dealt in a single battle. So you can see the score report here, 163,000, I don't know, coins, pieces of 8. Pulled off a third place, 3 sinkings, didn't get a special award or anything. Here's all the ships I hurt. 22 bomb hits, 7 torpedo hits, pretty darn good, and this was not even my first win of the day, so could have done even better in my ship experience. Thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you again next week. Should be a couple of ARP missions in the next 2 weeks. Thanks for checking it out. See you next time.